What's up, Wildruns here, and today we're looking at if Prodigy should remain in this lawsuit. I think there are a ton of reasons why they should not. Let's jump into it. I noticed that 93% of you aren't subscribed, so if you could, just hit that subscribe button. It would mean the world to me. Alright, so looking at this lawsuit, I have thought about it a ton. I'm sure a lot of people have. I'm not alone in that. But I think there is an important thing to note here, and that is that public perception of Prodigy is declining very, very rapidly. I have seen so many posts that are just really dogging Prodigy. They don't trust the quality of the disc. They haven't trusted the quality of the disc for a while. They don't like where the direction of the company's going. They don't like the fact that there's a lawsuit against a minor. There's just so much heat about this case. And looking at it, it is just not looking that good. I think obviously there is a lot of points that Prodigy brought up in their lawsuit that they might win on. So Prodigy certainly has stuff in their contracts that are not explicitly spelled out as to benefit Gannon. So a lot of the points that he mentioned in the lawsuit may not be admissible in court. That is certainly a bummer for Gannon, because if you're promised something, just because you don't have it in writing, you surely hope that you still get it. But with that said, the narrative is so tremendously powerful in this whole situation. And that narrative is that Gannon should be rewarded with so many more things than he is receiving, and that Prodigy is kind of an evil corporation. I obviously think that Prodigy's not particularly evil. I don't love their business tactics. I think they certainly have some shady aspects to them. But with that said, I think there's just a lot of positive to Prodigy, but that doesn't really matter. I think if you're treating your players like this, even if they fulfilled most of the things brought into that contract, there are still certainly so many things that were verbal agreements or promised that Gannon did not receive that every single person dislikes. Just because you didn't have it in writing doesn't mean that you're in the clear. Social perception is huge in this situation, and so many people are boycotting Prodigy. Just 100% flat out. They were diehard about like an A2 or a D3 or D2, and they're just like, nah, I'm not doing this. So if you have that perception and that continuous drag onto your brand because of actions that you took, you have to really decide if it's worthwhile. And I think it is very clear to me that it is not worthwhile. This is a losing battle. Sure, you might win 500K, whatever you guys settle with, but is that truly worth it? I think you have made a very, very aggressive decision that will not win in your favor, even if you win the court case. So I think it is very much in Prodigy's interest to drop the case altogether, let Gannon walk, and try to recoup this PR disaster. Because it is pretty fair to say that just because there's a couple people that are like, yeah, Prodigy specified this stuff in the contract and they fulfilled that, there are so many people that are like, you are truly awful. You have not been true to your word. You have lied about so many things, and you had potentially a Dickerson lawsuit that you have pushed under the rug, and it is just not cool. So I think it is very clear to say that Prodigy needs to really rework their whole company altogether. And I heard this situation where maybe it's in Prodigy's best interest just to get bought out by like a Discraft or an Innova. Just totally rebrand every disc, get consolidated with a more reputable brand, and try to rebuild. Because I would say right now it is just not looking great. And I think Valerie Jenkins is a great example of proof that just because you were true to your contracts or whatever doesn't mean that you are at all in the right. And if you don't know the situation with Valerie Jenkins, she was promised a Tour Series disc if she won Worlds. She grinded and grinded. She worked nonstop for season after season, just barely didn't make it for Worlds. And I actually think she was promised a Signature Series disc for other situations that she wasn't given. But Innova kept being like, nah, I don't think we can do that. And then the day came where Valerie Jenkins won Worlds. She was rightfully deserving of a Tour Series disc. And Innova said, nope, we're not doing it. We just don't think FPO has a valuable spot in the market. And even though we told you we were going to give you a Tour Series disc, we're just going to not do that. And to make matters worse, the person that did get a Signature Series disc was Avery Jenkins, her brother. And it just really added fuel to the fire that Innova is clearly not in her best interest, and I would say not in most people's best interest. Obviously, it's a business. They have very much profit motives, and that is obviously fair to say. But I think it is very much a huge PR disaster for them in 2016, and this was like way before the sport even blew up. And if it was a disaster then I would say this Prodigy whole catastrophe is way more impactful than even that was. And it has very similar evidence where a certain person was promised a certain disc that would be equated to a ton of money and was not given that disc and those proceeds. So if you are ripping off people as a brand, then you have very little loyalty and you have very little customers coming back to you. And obviously Prodigy is a much smaller company than Innova. Innova is still one of the biggest disc golf manufacturers in the world. Innova has a lot more room because they have tons of stores, they have tons of sponsorships that will just last for decades. And Prodigy does not have that. They are a much smaller company. They have a much smaller line of discs. And if you are in a spot where you are being very dishonest to your players, then it doesn't look great. It doesn't give you assurance as a player, it doesn't give you assurance as a fan, and it certainly doesn't make a consumer want to buy your product. Like, why would you promote this product if you know that the people behind it don't actually care about the players or you as a customer? So even though that Prodigy has probably already paid a lot in legal fees, I think it is in their best interest to drop it all together. I obviously know that there's a lot of costs associated with that. I know there's a lot of pain, and maybe they'll be considered as a weak company for dropping the lawsuit. But I think the damages that they will do month after month as this lawsuit continues will truly make the company go under. And I think there's just so much evidence that proves that people are not a fan of Prodigy right now and may not ever return. So if you have this, then you really have to do a full 180, try to be the most customer-focused company that has ever existed. And if you do not do this, then I probably think you are going to go under. And if not, you will suffer tremendous losses. So it is truly in their best interest, I believe, to drop the lawsuit altogether and let Gannon walk, and maybe not even require a buyout fee. Maybe just be like, yeah, we accept this. We obviously don't like it. Obviously, like, clearly they made a lawsuit. They don't want this. But it is in their best interest just to drop it. Will that happen? I don't think so. But that is not my call to make. So with that, Wild Runs signing out. Make sure to subscribe. Also, let me know what you guys think about my thoughts. I may be alone in this stance, but I'm very interested to see what you guys think. So with that, peace.